Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. And you'll notice this week there is a little bit of a change. There is going to be no formal introduction and no formal outro to the show because I am currently sitting here with co-host Austin. Hey, Austin.
Who requires no formal intro.
No, he does not.
What's going on?
I'm not sure I could set the stage for you all. So first of all, welcome back, Austin, to the podcast. It's been several months.
It's been a minute. Good to be back.
And it may have been several months since Austin's been on the podcast, but we're here to talk to you guys today. We've actually been spending the last several months together.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say?
Yep, that's pretty much it. Yep. All right. Been a great podcast, everybody. Thanks.
Yes. And
no.
This is, well, first of all, we'll get into that. Sorry to interrupt, Austin.
No,
but,
not at all.
Explain just what we set up here.
This is one of those times where I wish, that's the benefit of having video as your medium for the art form, is you can show people what's going on. There's really no way to describe this setup. If you were to imagine piling about, I'm gonna conservatively say $10,000 worth of electronics.
That's probably true.
Into a dumpster, and then lighting that dumpster on fire. That's essentially what we got going on here. So there's...
But we're sitting in the dumpster or outside of the fire?
We're definitely neck deep in this dumpster. So so Julie's approximately 8 feet away from me. We're out about a mile from Soco Gap. So we're just off the Mountains Sea Trail. I've rented a house out here for the weekend. Julie and I have been filming, interviewing, sightseeing all around Cherokee, all around Soco Gap. I won't give away everything because we've got to leave something for you to want to come back to. But very exciting things going on right now. But we're on the back porch of the house that I've rented. We've got extension cords plugged into the outside of the house. Julie's got her laptop. I've got my laptop. We've each got our own podcast mics with their own setups, all the nonsense that goes into making a podcast mic work on a laptop.
I didn't realize it was this much till I started setting it up out here on this deck.
We're talking to each other, but we're each wearing headphones. There's just, like I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words in this particular instance. So, yeah, I think you'll probably post some of these pictures along when this podcast comes out.
Yes, this is going to be in the show notes.
This will have to be in the show notes. There's no way
pictures of this.
We're going to have to.
So listen to the whole podcast, then go to the show notes, and you'll get the exact visual, what's going on here. And I can't even describe this backyard, what I'm looking at. I'm not even going there. So at this point, you guys are probably wondering, what are you doing? What's happening? Austin hasn't been on the podcast in a while, but you guys have been together all across the state of North Carolina, interviewing, driving, visiting various communities. And not only have we been interviewing, but we have been filming these various interviews. And we are working for, well, not working for, this is us doing this, but we are putting together what we are calling a mini-series. It's an MST, the Mountains of Sea Trail mini-series, written and produced by Jester and Austin. And we're here today to kind of walk you through this process.
Boy, what a process it's been.
And how we yes, it has. And how we decided to do this, why we decided to do this, how we got started, and why we're talking about this on the podcast. So we're going to hopefully answer those questions in this episode. And this is the first time we have recorded face-to-face. I like it this way.
This is definitely I like this facet of, because it's normally, so for those that don't know, when normally on the podcasts, we're just seeing like a Zoom meeting, essentially. It's a glorified Zoom meeting. So to be able to see each other face to face, it feels more like a conversation than some crazy Zoom meeting. So I like this. And we're outside, which is my favorite.
And it's great. And, you know, we're very close to our favorite trail, the Mountains of Sea Trail. And, so I guess we should say the name of our project first. We are calling this the Mountains of Sea Trail mini-series, and the title of this overall mini-series is I Am The MST.
Yes.
So with that being said, Austin, take us back to, and I even narrowed down the exact date, it was March 3rd, 2022.
I'm glad you looked that up, because I was trying to guess if it was February or March, but I remember. So anybody that's watched my channel, my YouTube channel, knows that Darwin on the Trail is a heavy influencer on my creative outlet. He was the one that got me interested in, I think honestly he was the one that got me back outside watching his videos. And he's definitely the one that got me inspired about creating and making videos. And so not that I've modeled my style after his, but I've gotten a lot of ideas from both his gear, the way he approaches not just making a video, but his whole process, his whole creative process. And hopefully the cars driving by are getting picked up on this.
Yeah, ignore the honking.
Yeah. That's free.
That's part of this setup
that's free,
we got
folks.
going on.
That's free right there. Free of charge. But anyways, so long story short, Darwin let everybody know on his Patreon page that he was going to be in Charlotte. He is normally in Arizona out west, so him being on the East Coast is not always the case. And so he's like, hey, if anybody's in the Charlotte area wants to get together, we're going to go somewhere in Charlotte. So Jester's the one that picked the venue, and we met Darwin, and oh no, now I feel terrible. I can't remember the guy that came with him, his name.
Meow.
Thank you.
Yes.
So Meow.
I know. Meow. Hey, Meow.
And then the owner of App Gear Company, which was an added bonus. So we got to talk all things alpaca while we were there,
which was awesome.
But anyways, we had dinner with Darwin. And it was a really, really great to finally meet him in person, and just understand that he's just a normal guy that has done some really extraordinary things. And we were talking about his film
Through the Great Southwest.
Yep, Through the Great Southwest, about the Arizona Trail. And
that's really, I'll add a caveat here, that's really when I started watching Darwin, because I'm not quite sure. It must have popped up on, I don't know, Instagram or somewhere in my feed that he had done this film about the Arizona Trail. So I actually watched Through the Great Southwest, then started watching his YouTube videos. And I really liked, Through the Great Southwest, not that this is a plug for that, but certainly go watch that.
No, definitely go watch it.
It really pulled at my heartstrings. And my thought process was when, I first watched that, of course, I've watched it several times, is it gives a perspective of the trail, not from a hiker.
Right.
And I really, really liked that. So, okay, pick up the story.
Yeah. So we were talking about that film, and Jester's like, well, somebody should do a film about the Mountains of Sea Trail because, we're in North Carolina. Mountains of Sea Trail is, in my opinion, the showcase trail of the state. And I don't know, you didn't mean it as like a, hey, Darwin, I want you to do this. But it was just, I think you're probably just thinking out loud. Like,
I was. And I wasn't, I was like, after all that, someone should do something about the Mountains of Sea Trail. I mean, that's mine and your, area.
And I was
in our
like,
zone.
oh, that would be awesome.
I know. We were both like, yeah, who's going to do it?
And Darwin's like, not me.
And Darwin's like, hey, I'm heading back, to Arizona tomorrow. See ya.
But yeah, so that was the genesis. That comment right there was how everything started, how that ball got rolling. And I don't live in Charlotte, so I had a bit of a drive after dinner. And so I'm driving, and Jester calls me, like, I think it was within 5 minutes. I mean, It was from the time that we left our table at the restaurant until I got to my truck. I saw Darwin once again, and somewhere he yelled out he was going to shave his beard. I don't think that's happened. I think he was joking. He's still got his beard.
He still has his beard. And got the truck, started the truck, pulled out of the parking lot, and then something happened. I snapped. I said, well, why don't I do that? Why don't we do that? Why don't Austin and I do that? And I mean, I almost wrecked the truck. I mean, I was like, I can't dial his number fast enough. And what is he going to say? And it was like a flash of lightning. Next thing I know, Austin's on the phone, and take it from there.
Oh, yeah. She's like, what do you think about us doing a documentary on the Mountains of Sea Trail? And when you like answer a question and you really don't know where that answer is going to take you, but you just kind of go with it. I said yes, emphatically, absolutely. I had no idea what yes meant. And I don't think, even knowing what I know now, I would have probably been more emphatic in my yes, because I've gotten more from this project.
So no buyer's remorse?
No, definitely no buyer's remorse. But I was like, yeah. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. But yes, I'm in. And that's where we started brainstorming, like, okay, so what do we want? What do we want this documentary to even look like? Do we want it to be like, we don't want to copy somebody else's idea. So what is it about the Mountains of Sea Trail that makes it unique? What about it sticks out and makes it different from the AZT, makes it different from the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail? What makes it special? And the short answer is there's a lot that makes it special.
There is a lot that makes it special. And I remember, I couldn't tell you what we talked about that evening as I was driving home.
That was all blur after that.
And we were still talking. I had gotten home, pulled into my garage, and I'm sitting in the car still talking because I'm like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we do this? I'm an interviewer. Austin's an interviewer, a videoer, a creator, a storyteller, and we've been talking about this. We had just recorded an episode about Austin, his storytelling process. And I think that led to me thinking silently to myself, why do I underestimate myself? Why wouldn't I do this? Why would I look to somebody else to do this? And one of the things that I want to get across on this episode is that, in fact, if you want to do something, don't look to somebody else. Because when it came to a documentary a year ago, first of all, there's no way in the world someone would have said you're going to be filming a miniseries.
Yeah.
So I think what happened for me after we had that initial conversation, I just got like so pumped up.
Oh, yeah.
And I started thinking about the Mountains of Sea Trail, being on the board, what I've helped him do in the past. And I started thinking about the podcast and how the past 2 years in September, I've had people on specifically from the Mountains to Sea Trail, whether it was hikers, whether it was people from the organization, trail maintainers, whatever. And I've kind of celebrated September along with the Mountains to Sea Trail on the podcast. And I think at that point, I sent you like a dissertation email of how we would make this happen. And then I was going to reach out to the MST organization and say, hey, do we have your, as Austin would say, do we have your blessing?
Yeah.
And kind of go through your thought process on that initial email, because I did write another email.
I was very unproductive at work the next day. I'll just put it like that. Yeah, because I think my mind was going about 1,000 miles an hour too. Like, okay, what does this look like? Because it's about the Mountains to Sea Trail. So I wanted, and I don't know when we started using this term, the creators who hike versus hikers who create.
No, I think you started that term. I don't know where it started, but I
can't remember.
A couple months ago.
I don't remember when we started using it, but that's what this kind of turned into. We turned from, and for me personally, making a documentary where I'm behind the camera the entire time, as opposed to just about every YouTube video I've put out, I've been in front of the camera. And so far, and we're almost done filming, so I'm going to try to stay behind the camera the entire time. But that creative process for me has been something that I never knew would be something I'd even be interested in. But that was kind of a rabbit hole to talk about the fact that up to that point, I was a hiker that created. And
really up until March 2022.
Yeah. And so I wanted buy-in from the Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail, because they, as an organization, were integral to making sure that we told the story correctly. There were a lot of folks, either past board members, current board members. We wanted that buy-in so that we could tell the story correctly. And I don't think, I think we have been accepted with open arms. We haven't been told no yet. It was literally zero pushback.
Zero.
And everything that we have asked for, we have been granted and then some.
And I'm not quite sure at this point where we are in the process. Obviously, by the time this episode comes out, we will be further along in the process. And one of the reasons we wanted to record this now is we're in the middle of it. We're raw.
Yeah. I've got 3.5 terabytes of raw footage on a hard drive, and I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we've got it there.
That's the fun part. Well, we didn't know what any of this was going to look like up to this point. So there's that email, and obviously you guys are hearing that we're in this process now. So after that initial email, Austin said yes. And I was like, okay, now what? So my brain, and his brain's churning, my brain's churning. And so I thought, well, this would be really good to coincide something, again, during the MST month. This is the 45th year. We're celebrating this entire year, the 45th anniversary of the inception, and the idea and concept to have this trail that goes across the state of North Carolina. And I thought, well, why don't we do something for birthday month? And then I was thinking about the podcast and the episodes coming out on Saturday. And I was like, oh my goodness, we need to have a mini series, like these mini episodes. I don't even know if I knew what it was when I was thinking that. So I was at work, and I started firing off this next email. And you guys are going to hear this because we're going to get into this before we close out. I had the name, I Am The MST.
So,
or am I missing a step?
So we didn't know what the name was going to be. We were trying to think of because at first, I think the first idea was we were going to break up the episodes geographically. So we were going to we were going to do one episode with the mountains. We were going to do another episode with the Piedmont, then one with the Coastal Crescent, and then I think we were going to try to do the fourth one was like a overarching.
Yes,
yeah.
I forgot about that. But what we did decide is that there was going to be one episode come out each Saturday the month of September.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true. That is the case. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing.
That.
Well, I don't remember where I Am the MST came from.
So we were and maybe this is now where we start talking about it, but the premise was we wanted to talk about not only the physical diversity of the trail, talking about the rugged mountains, the flowing green Piedmont, the white sandy beaches at Jockey's Ridge. We wanted to talk about the physical diversity of the trail, but then also somehow capture the diversity of the people that make up the trail. Not just the trail organization itself, but the volunteers, the hikers, the paddlers, the bikers, everybody that uses the trail.
The community.
Yeah, the community itself.
The businesses.
And so it was Julie's idea. I'm going to give her 100% credit because we wanted to say diversity without saying diversity. And the I Am the MST encapsulates all of that because I Am the MST gives a sense of belonging. And I think that's an
ownership, like I am the MST.
That's the so what. I use that term a lot, the so what. That's the so what of the whole series is establishing ownership. Each and every person that uses the trail is a part of it. And so we wanted to talk about the diversity of the people, the diversity of the trail. And I think as soon as you sent me that email with the name I Am the MST, I was like 100%. Like, that's it. That's perfect. And then everything else is kind of centered around that.
Yeah, everything else revolves around that. And I'm not sure at this point. It's funny to think I can't even remember a few months back. And I think at that point when I Am the MST, I know I was sitting at my desk at work. And for me, I needed some kind of title to these episodes in order for me to figure out the interviews. Because we'll get into that here shortly. So we have the name of the series altogether, I Am the MST. And then we came up with, and you're going to hear about this because in the month of September, I'll go ahead and tell you now, Austin and I are going to be back for the entire month, and we're going to break down our process of putting each one of these episodes together.
Which we don't know right now.
And we don't know, so we can't record that right now,
like.
Which is the fun of it. So the first episode is called The Vision. The second episode is called The Foundation. And oh my God, I am not going to allude anything to this episode.
Pretty excited about that one.
I mean, I cried.
Well, to be fair, you
cried.
You cried at multiple interviews.
Well, I did cry at multiple interviews. And the third episode is titled The Foundation. And then the fourth episode is titled
The Legacy.
The Legacy. Thank you, Austin. So you have the vision of the trail, the foundation, what holds the trail together, the partners, what makes the trail tick, and then the legacy. What does everybody want their legacy to be on the trail? And oh my goodness, one of the interviewees that we interviewed for that, the first episode, well, I think it is. I don't know how Austin's going to put all this together.
Yeah, I don't know what the episodes are going to look like yet.
So we know their titles. We're almost done with the interview process. The B-roll, as Austin calls it, the A-roll, the whatever. Man, this has been, for me, it has been an emotional ride. And it's been hard. Because we committed to a big project.
Yeah, I don't think I realized how big it was going to be. But of all the work that we have put into it, I have still received more than I have given. Like, the level of appreciation that I have for the trail is on a different planet than when we started.
Oh, it's such at a deep level, I can't even explain it.
Because and maybe we can talk about this transition because it happened during one of our interviews. So a lot of just about every interview, I'm trying to think if there's one we didn't film on the trail, but just about every interview we have made it a point of meeting that person on the Mountains to Sea Trail somewhere.
In their turf.
Right.
Yes.
And so we were interviewing one person on segment 10, and segment 10 holds a special place in my heart because that's the first segment that I completed. And so I thought about where I was the last time I was on that trail, that section of trail. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I was walking through here 3 years ago with a pack with way too much stuff in it, by the way. But I was walking through here as a hiker. And now here I am with a key individual for the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail. And it's just like, we've talked about this before. Like, we've had to pinch ourselves. Like, holy smokes.
We said that today. We interviewed a couple people today. You know, here we are down near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and it's really hard to conceptualize what we're doing.
Yeah. And I just had the thought and it flew out of my head. We were talking about the transition from just hiking the trail, you know, and we talked about it today. Like, you know, a lot of people out on the trail, and there's nothing wrong with this, because I even when I go out and hike, I'm still in that mindset. Like, I've got a certain amount of miles that I need to get done. I need to, you know, where's my resupply? Where's my next water spot? Where am I camping for the night? And so when you're hiking, and that's definitely an aspect of hiking that I'm not knocking, because I'm a hiker. I started as a hiker, and I will remain a hiker.
Yeah.
We're still hikers.
We're section hikers.
But the however is that when we're in that mode, it's very easy to not appreciate what you're walking through and what it took to make that trail, to put that trail where it was. Why does the trail turn left and then turn right? Why does the trail cross this road? Why does it go over the bridge? Why is there so much road walking? Well, there's a story behind every inch of that trail. And
you're talking, even today, surveys, 4 or 5, 10 agencies to even approve a quarter of a mile of path.
Yeah.
And then once it's approved, then it's building, volunteers, the history, what land are you walking on? Yeah. I mean, it really makes me, and I've said this to the people that we've been interviewing, it just makes me really want to go, and I'm not going to, obviously, really go back and think about what I've walked through.
Yeah.
And what it took to make it happen. And sadly, I can't go back where every place I've ever been, but we could change our mindset right now.
Yeah, I think it 100% is going to change my hiking forever. No matter what trail I'm on, it is going to change my perspective. No matter if I'm, you know, because like my brother and I are going to be hiking out west this summer. There's a lot of history out there, and I won't know it. I'm going to do my very best to inform myself, but it is going to give me a much deeper appreciation for everything that goes into every square inch of that trail. And
you know, and it's also incorporating. It's hard for us to put into words.
Yeah, it really is. I'm terrible with it.
I didn't really know what this was, or it ebbs and flows. This project is going to ebb and flow until that, you know, those final episodes, which you guys are going to have, or everyone's going to have full access to next week. And I think one of the reasons that it's very important for us to come on and talk about it is, I think both of us, as Austin's alluding to, are in stages on our own individual platforms where this impact that we've been in the last 3 or 4 months is going to impact how we create beyond September 2022. I know it is for me.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm like my channel is especially the long distance kayaking and the hiking. It's been centered around trip videos and capturing the experience of hiking the trail. And I don't know what my content is going to look like after this, but I have a feeling it's going to be different. It's going to have a different vibe. It's going to have a different feel. I'm still going to do trip videos because we talked about this in one of the episodes about the storytelling. You asked me, like, how much time does filming add to my hike? And I was like, well, filming is part of my hike. So I'm always going to film while I hike.
Well, now you have a different perspective.
But right now I have a different perspective, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm still going to have a YouTube channel. I'm still going to put things out on it. I've never been regular about putting things out, so I'm going to be consistent there and not. Wow, we've got some serious background noise.
That's okay. Well, I say it's okay. We'll either get it out of there or leave it in.
Yeah, we might. Who knows? We can cut that out if we really want to, or we can just keep it real. But yeah,
this is a pretty keep it real episode.
Yeah,
because
there's no notes on this.
I mean, from the point where you're talking March 3rd, 2022. Here we are. We're recording as
May 28th.
May 28th. Thank you.
Today's May 28th.
At the recording of this episode, and the listeners aren't going to hear this until August 27th, Saturday, August 27th. And so much more is going to change over the next 3 months. But you guys are going to hear that process as well. So we wanted to capture this raw in the moment as we're doing these interviews and as we're going through the process, because I felt like the further we got in the process, the more we were going to forget about the beginning of the and I already forgot, when the emails flowed and how this got named, time frame. So capturing this now is of the essence, so we can even go back and listen to this and share. And, I feel like the podcast, that Austin's YouTube channel, pivotal moments are now. And at the end of September are more pivotal moments, because this project will, it will have rolled through. We will have completed,
completed.
everything we wanted to do, and then some and more as the project goes on and as the videos get out there. So we're early in the process, but so let's recap. So we've kind of given you guys a really good taste of what's coming for the month of September. We're working on a mini-series documentary, video interview documentary. And after this episode, Austin's going to be back. First episode in September, all the way through the end of the month. And we're going to go through the process of putting those 4 episodes together for you. But today, I'm going to turn it over to Austin. When this episode's over, we want you to go over to Side Trail Adventures, because you're going to be able to view the trailer.
Yeah.
Ooh, a real trailer.
A real trailer. And so so we've been kind of spitballing, brainstorming for the trailer itself and what we want that to even look like. What do we do to make people want to come back? So the creative process itself has been really, really satisfying for me, because it's completely new for both of us. And we've had to, I was telling Jester this, that, like with a trip video, the story is already written. When I go on a trip, all I do is do what I'm going to normally do and just film it. And whatever B-roll I get, whatever commentary I put in, that is what it is. And this is a much more deliberate process. Trying to get specific shots for B-roll. And trying to, like with the trailer, for instance, how do you encapsulate everything that we've just talked about, and then the things that we're going to talk about?
Yeah, how do we put that in 3 minutes?
How do we encapsulate that, where it's just enough to let you know what's going on, but doesn't take up an hour?
One of the really cool things is we talk about, and I know everybody pause for 1 second, is I want everybody to know that Austin and I had no idea how well we would work together.
Yeah, it has worked out really well.
But we work
because I'm a jerk. I'm terrible.
Yeah, he's.
I can't work with anybody.
We work together really well because we let each other be what they're best at.
Yeah.
Austin doesn't come in my zone, and I certainly don't go in Austin's video zone. And, putting the interviews together and chatting with people, and it's been a real pleasure, quite honestly.
Yeah. I can 100% agree, and I think our strengths complement each other. Because like I'm an introvert, even though I play an extrovert on TV. I'm an introvert, and so I'm not good at reaching out and talking to strangers and having conversations with strangers, and constructing interviews and coming up with intelligent questions and questions that provoke conversation. But that's 100% your wheelhouse. Like you've been, how many episodes? 100 and something?
150 something episodes.
That's a whole bunch of interviews.
And these are different interviews, though. I've been nervous pretty much on every one. And it may not seem like that, and the reason I'm nervous, and I'm sure you're nervous as well, is that not only do we want to do the Mountains of Sea Trail justice, we want to do the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail justice, but we also want to do justice to the people that we're interviewing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
because they've entrusted us with a lot. And that is a compliment in and of itself I just thought of. Like, these players have entrusted us to utilize what we're getting from them and putting it out there. I mean, really, to the world. I mean, quite honestly, anybody can see it when it comes out.
I feel a tremendous responsibility to not screw up, because I don't think anybody's done this before. There's been a lot of, again, kind of like what I've been doing. There's a lot of videos out there of the Mountains of Sea Trail, and people are filming themselves, and the story that they're telling is about their experience on the trail. But I don't think anybody's done a video like we're doing about the trail itself. I won't say that there's never been a video or a documentary about the MST. I'm positive that somebody has taken the time to talk about it at some point. But I don't think it's gone to the
Oh, no, there's nothing like this. I can go ahead and say there is nothing like this about the Mountains of Sea Trail, period.
Yeah. So I feel a tremendous responsibility to tell the story, and give it the respect that it deserves, because the more, and we talked about this at the very beginning before we did one interview, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we approach this? But how do we, who do we want to interview? Who do we want to talk to? When do we want to talk to? This was right before the gathering, so we're like, I don't know what.
The gathering was the beginning of April, and I'm just going to go ahead and give a shout out to Betsy Brown.
Holy smokes, yes.
My goodness. I mean, I just called Betsy and said who, what, when, where, and she just rattled off stuff in a way we went.
Yeah. And so I remember my point was that we didn't really know what we wanted to talk about. We didn't know what it was going to look like.
No, we had no idea.
And we just started being like, well, I know we need to talk to this person, so let's schedule an interview with them. And I know we need to talk to this person, so let's make sure we get on their calendar. And then, but even as we started interviewing people, we still really didn't. And even today, I knew that we would have a better idea today than we did, March 1st or whenever it was that we started. I knew we'd have a better idea of what it was going to look like, but we still don't have a good picture about what it's going to look like. We still have one formal interview where the two of us are going, but then we've got some other stuff going on.
I got to tell you guys, I mean, quite honestly, some of these interviews, I mean, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. on the weekends.
And
rolling the pavement for 2.5 hours, meeting Austin, interviewing, maybe traveling to another part of the Mountains of Sea Trail.
You came to Raleigh 3 weekends in a row, wasn't it?
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the weekends, the very first weekend that, we interviewed, and then we drove to Roseboro, North Carolina, and interviewed. And then we ended up having I don't know what you want to call it, a third interview or tour.
Maybe it was a side trail adventure?
It was a side trail adventure.
It was 100%.
So, Austin, we're talking about this place that we want to go to. And I said, well, let's just drive by it. So Austin pulls it up on, Google or whatever.
It was like 5 minutes away.
And we drive over, and the gentleman that we want to talk to is out in the front mowing his lawn. He's on his tractor. And Austin's looking at me, and I'm looking at Austin. I'm like, well, I mean, what's the worst he could say? No.
And this is again goes back to the I'm not good at talking to people thing.
So I get out of the car. Okay, I did, and I said, "Oh, I introduced who we were. We introduced ourselves." And I said, "I'm on the board of the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail." And away we went. We got a full tour. We got the whole Monty.
Oh yeah, it was epic.
It was incredible. So anyway, that was a long segue to go back to you about the trailer. I guess the bottom line is with the trailer is that we want you guys to go over and watch it right now. And I know some of you listening to this, you're like, I'm on the West Coast. I don't know anything about the Mountains of Sea Trail, or, I may never hike the Mountains of Sea Trail. And it's not, yes, it's about the Mountains of Sea Trail, and it's about the inception of the trail. But we want you guys to go over and watch this, because no matter where you are, you could do something like this for your own trail, for your own local park, for your own, if there's something that you wanted to do creatively and you're waiting for somebody else to do it, don't wait. Do something creatively. I mean, don't you think, Austin? I mean, really, that's what we want people to get out of this.
And that was kind of my my personal journey. Because when I was on the JMT last summer, had a lot of time to think. But one of the thoughts I had was like this YouTube channel, this stage that I have built for myself has been about me. It's been about numero uno. And I wanted to change that. I was like, because I've mentioned I'm heavily influenced by Darwin, giving back and doing things for other people. Benny Braden is another big influence, doing things for Benny, it's the Smokies.
For the betterment.
Yeah, for the betterment of the community as a whole. And I mean the community as in the trails, the organizations, the national parks, the state parks, the national forests, everything. Doing something to better that community. And so one of the ideas I had on the JMT was making Side Trail Adventures merchandise and doing it as a fundraiser for the Mountains of Sea Trail. That happened. We it wasn't a lot of money. But we raised $300 for the Mountains of Sea Trail.
Hey, listen, $300 is greater than zero, and $300 is greater than not doing it at all.
Yeah. And so in that same light, this was obviously not even a blip on the radar for me back last summer, but this has turned into that project because, we mentioned that, for you and I, we're kind of in this creative evolution where we don't really know what our next step is or what that next step is going to look like, but we know that it's coming. We know that this project has changed us for the better. And so I don't know. So my channel has been kind of that traditional, which you see on YouTube a lot. There's a smattering of gear reviews, there's trip videos. And what I'm seeing in myself is there's a change for me coming, because I think I may have said this already today, but there's a lot of YouTube content out there about gear, about hiking, about trips, about elevation profiles and where to stop for water and everything like that. But there's not a whole lot of content out there about the trails themselves. Just like what Darwin did with the AZT and his film, there's not a lot of that content out there. And so in my mind, maybe that's the most important content that we could possibly create is the content that gives people the appreciation for the outdoors, gives appreciation for what they're walking through, what they're paddling through, what they're biking through. And there will always be a place for gear videos, for trip videos, for all the reviews, because that's what that's what got me started. That's, because I didn't just go out and willy-nilly buy gear. I watched YouTube videos about which is going to be the best titanium cup. And,
and at the end of the day, I mean, a backpack's a backpack. I mean, I hate to say it, but
yes.
It's, when you're hiking, a backpack's a backpack, a tent's a tent, but who gets you up that hill? You do.
Right.
Your mindset, not your backpack, not your tent. Your tent might keep you dry, but and your backpack carries your gear. But when you have the wherewithal, you're going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the mindset where I'm at now. It's like we're still hikers. We still want to get out on trails. Yeah. But I feel this great sense, and I even said this today, I spent 16 years of my life dedicated to the Appalachian Trail. And I never had the feeling of becoming part of the Appalachian Trail. And I'm not talking about the Appalachian Trail. That's just where I started. There was never this greater sense of becoming, here's math, sum of the whole of the parts. Is that right? Becoming part of the sum, something of that nature. So whereas, I know it's funny, whereas on the Mountains of Sea Trail,
greater than the sum of its parts.
Greater than the sum of its parts. On the Mountains of Sea Trail, I am a part.
Yep.
And my part is nothing unless Austin does his part, and this person does their part, and this person does their part. And this is where I've landed. And another transition for me is there's something greater than hiking.
Yes.
Yes, I still love hiking, and
100%.
yes, I'm still going to blaze trails or whatever anybody wants to call it. But if I had an overall arching goal, is for everybody to find where they fit.
Mm-hmm.
Where's their part? And don't just hike trails. And go to the next one, and go to the next one, and go to the next one. Become part of what you just walked through. Give value. And I'll say it again, if you could buy a $700 tent, you can join an organization for $35 a year.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the Friends of the Mountains Sea Trail.
No.
It can be any local trail. It can be buying your permit for the national parks. Just buy an annual permit for the national parks. Or state park, anything.
And if you go hike, like last year, I went and hiked the John Muir Trail. Well, okay, 3 days of the John Muir Trail. Not bitter. Don't say anything, Austin.
Not a word.
I gave to the JMT Conservancy because my feet were on that trail.
How many people do you think that of the thousands that hike the JMT? How many do you think? I'll be honest.
Not even a third.
So I'll full disclosure. I didn't. I should have, but I didn't.
But this
and to that note, since we're being full disclosure, I went for a while without donating to the Friends of the Mountain Sea Trail.
Well, and Austin, I'm not. That's what a lot of people do.
Well, and that's why I bring it up, is because we're not trying to shame people into being, you need to have money.
What we want to do,
but it's okay. It's okay to understand, like, and if it's not money, because I mean, like,
not everybody has money.
Not everybody. So, and we'll talk about it in the series, but like, there's other ways to give back, even if it's just picking up a piece of trash on the trail that you see. That right there has helped the trail, and you can do that on any trail.
Well, I heard this somewhere. I don't know, and it's a quote from Jennifer Farr Davis, and maybe I heard it in one of her talks along the way because she's my idol, but my hiking idol. But she says if everybody would just pick up one piece of garbage, even in your neighborhood, no matter where you are, it'd be a better planet.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, I think we're evolving on our platforms. That's the way I'll put it. We have this awesome miniseries coming out next month. Today, the trailer is out. And by the time we get to next week's episode, we will have evolved another couple months. And we're going to break down next week's episode for you. And then we're going to want you to go watch that episode. So I think I've wrapped up kind of really what I wanted to say was we took this idea. We ran with the idea. We didn't know what we were doing. We still don't know what we're doing.
100% still don't know what I'm doing.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Howard Lee didn't know what he was doing when he gave a speech at Lake Junaluska that there was going to be a trail that went from Clingman's Dome to Jockey's Ridge. He says openly that, he thought he was going to go back to Raleigh where the state offices are, and that was going to be that.
Little did he know.
Little did he know. So I think I've kind of wrapped up, I hope that everybody gets value out of this. in some form or fashion, and I think everybody can. And we're going to be back next week.
Yes. And you'll maybe next week see some of the method to the madness that we come up with. So a little, I guess, teaser for next week is I have not been to film school. I probably, if I want to go any farther down this rabbit hole, I probably should try some type of formal film education. But we've had to figure out a way to collaborate remotely because I live in Raleigh. Jester lives in Charlotte. Collaborate remotely and be deliberate about how we form these stories in each episode. Just like Jester came up with the names of the 4 episodes and the kind of the so what, the idea behind each episode. So now we've got to create these stories. And so right now, I was talking to my parents on the phone, and I was talking about this and the project and everything like that. And I was like, imagine putting together a puzzle, but first you have to make the pieces. And so right now we're making the pieces of the puzzle.
I love that. That's a really good, you've never said that before. That's a really good way.
So like right now, I don't even know what that puzzle is going to look like when it's finished. I don't even have all the pieces done to create that puzzle. And so that's kind of what we're in right now. So we're still creating the pieces of this puzzle. And then the process that you're going to hear for the next few weeks as we talk about how we put forth each episode is how we start taking these pieces of the puzzle that we've created and putting them into some type of story that's going to mean something. Because like I said, I've got 3.5 terabytes of footage that doesn't include any of the stuff that we've shot today or any of the stuff that we're going to be shooting in the next few weeks.
Oh, and separate audio too. Yeah.
Separate audios. It's been quite the creative process. So taking
animations.
Yeah. So taking 3.5, well, it'll probably end up being 4 terabytes of footage and creating 4 15-minute episodes out of that. So that's no small feat.
No.
So I'm again, it goes back to that impending sense of responsibility that we have to tell this story. I just don't want to screw it up.
No, we don't. So, all right, you guys, we are going to leave it at that.
Yep.
I think we're at a good point. Austin and I will be back next week. Sadly, we won't be recording from the same location.
No, I think it's hard to top this.
This is one and
location.
Done. And wow, just go over to Austin's YouTube channel, Side Trail Adventures. Watch the trailer. Send me emails. Send me DMs. Send Austin DMs. I don't know if your email's on your YouTube.
Yep, it's on there.
Let us know what you think about the trailer. We don't want any bad reviews. This is a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening for another week. We'll be back next week. As always, thanks for listening. Be safe out there. Happy section hiking. I'm Jester.
And I'm Austin.
And we are the MST.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. member FDIC.